Hello, 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 and happy Monday, everyone. I cannot believe we are already at the beginning of May, and I'm super excited to be here. It feels like forever. Now that I'm only coming on once a month, it just feels like forever that I get here. Anyway, we are here, and there is so much to talk about. But before we dive in case you're not sure what you're watching and who I am, I'm Joanne Barry Clone. I'm the host of Holistic No, I'm the host of Joanne's Healing Within. There's so many titles that I have, so many places that I am. Anyway, super excited to be here with you. If you did not get a chance to catch last month's episode, know you can always go back and watch any of the episodes on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch TV. You can also listen on iHeartRadio, Audible, Spotify, and that's just to name a few. Anyway, super excited to be here with you today. And I want to just give a shout out to one of my partners. I'm going through a transition with partners. And with that being said, if you are interested in becoming a partner of this show, feel free to email healingwithin76@gmail.com. So with that said, I just want to give a big shout out to my partner, my most recent partner, Miss Tammy Moses. She's our Chief Encouragement Officer of the Hoarding Solution. And she does amazing work. And if you do follow me on a regular basis, you see her all over the place because she's like my sidekick lately. Anyway, there you have it with that. So let's just dive in to the conversation for today. We all know it's May. May carries the 5 vibration, which is all about change, freedom, unpredictability, creativity, self-expression, and also about finding your freedom. And whatever freedom means for you. But in order to have that freedom, you have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to change something so you can bring that freedom into your alignment, into your manifestation. And with this energy we have today with this 555 portal, notice that's 3 fives. Now you might be asking yourself, where do we get the 3 fives from? The first 5 is from the month itself. The second 5 is from the actual day, the date. And the third 5 comes from the universal energy that 2025 is to that 9. And that 9 is about the transformation. And then when you add the 9 and the 5 together from the month, we're back to our 5 energy. So overall, this energy of the 555 portal is an introduction to opening up the door to a new way of doing something. The overall energy of this 555, as it is what I like to call an angel number, it's a reminder that massive change is about to come through. Being that I do like to blend astrology, for those of you who don't know me, a little bio, as you already know that I'm Joanne Barry Clone, I am the founder of Holistic Fitness and why. I'm your certified holistic personal trainer. I'm your holistic integrative teacher, Reiki master, medical astrologer, master of numerology, card creator, and card reader. And most recently, just gonna pull it out, I want to grab one. I'm also the founder of Holistic Healing Magazine. So with that being said, I do blend astrology and numerology into my conversations, into everything that I do. So blending the astrology from the 555 portal based on numerology, we're going to take a quick peek at the 5th house on your astrology chart. Whatever's in your 5th house, whatever zodiac sign is there, and if you have any planets playing. The planets give it like an extra ingredient to whatever's going on. So for me, and I'd have to look at my chart really quickly to give you some insight. For me, in my 5th house energy, I happen to have a sort of like a combo going on. I have Scorpio and Sagittarius sitting in my 5th house energy. Scorpio is a transformation. Sagittarius is the higher learning, the higher consciousness, the traveling through time. And I do have a planet there. I have a planet sitting in Sagittarius in Neptune's energy. Now, Neptune is the higher consciousness. It's the spiritual evolution. So again, what planets do you have, if you have any planets sitting in your 5th house? Now, you may not. Now, just because you don't have a planet in that house doesn't mean there's nothing going on in that house. The zodiac sign itself plays a big role to what's going on. So because for me, I have Scorpio and Sagittarius there, that's a lot going on for me. I have water, and then I have fire. And it's quite interesting because when you think about water and fire, it's like the water can put out the fire, or interesting analogy, the water can actually cause the boiling to the fire. So however you might want to look at it. However, I do want you to look at your placement to see what's going on in your fifth house, because that's the energy that this 555 portal is going to open. So in addition to this portal that we're experiencing today, and at this point of time, I know we did have what's called the void, of course, when it came to the moon's energy today. I do believe at this point in time, and I just want to take a double check to make sure at this point in time, yes, the moon has moved into Virgo's energy. A little bit about Virgo. Virgo is your, say it's like your body temperature, so to speak, because it's all about your physical body. It's about your nervous system. It's about checking in with your body. It's also about organizing your space and your schedule so you can be more productive in reference to getting stronger and healthier, which when we think about today's title, it really is about having the right prescription makes the difference. And with this moon that we're experiencing in Virgo for the next 2.5 days, that's a case in point right there. So just the other day, which was yesterday on the 4th, may the 4th be with you, Pluto went through its retrograde, where now Pluto is going, as we sort of say, goes backwards, giving us a chance to review, recharge, reboot all of the energy that Pluto is sitting in, which is Aquarius. And Aquarius is all about your vision, all about how you're collaborating, connecting, and your community for that matter. And if I had to sum it up for Pluto, the one word, Pluto is about your transformation. How are you going to transform during this retrograde cycle? And because we have this portal energy, it's literally taking us down the doorway. It's like someone's holding your hand and helping you through. It's no longer about, should I open the door and go? Literally, someone's going to push you through that door and take you down that path, that journey, so you can experience this transformation. So all that being said, let me get my cards. And we're going to shuffle up the deck, see what we need to know for this information for today, how we can play into this 555 energy. All right, let's see what card shows up. All right, interesting that this card is popping in. The card that we do have happens to be family. So maybe the transformation that we may experience during this time through this portal is going to be with family. Now, it's so funny that the number is 15, because when we add that number up, it reduces to or adds to a 6. And when we add the 555, even though it's a power number, an angel number, and we don't usually add it up, it still adds to a 6, which is very much associated with the moon in Virgo. And I want you to pay attention for the next 2 days about the moon being in Virgo, because, as I said earlier, it plays a huge role on your physical body. And you may very well be experiencing, what's the word I want to use? Messages. There's the word I want to use. Messages from your body, because that's exactly what your body does. When you're experiencing any type of pain, discomfort, or flare-ups, that's usually a message coming from your body. And wherever those flare-ups are showing up in your body, that's a whole nother direction in regards to what it is you need to experience from that situation. So, for example, I'll just share one area of the body, which is a common area for a lot of people, specifically women in their midlife past, is hip discomfort. Now, when we talk about hip discomfort, whether it's stiffness, tightness, or whatever it may be, the reality of it is that the hip discomfort is a message in regards to what decisions are you not aligned with. Whether those decisions are yours or they're someone else's, there's a decision or many decisions that you're not aligned with, or you're just not ready to make, or someone's doing something that you're not comfortable with. So pay attention that if you are experiencing hip discomfort, if you're experiencing hip discomfort in the right hip is about the action. So there's action that you need to take. And maybe it's just really about the fact that the decision is not even yours, it's someone else's, which means your action is to let it go. Now, the hip discomfort is showing up on your left leg, then that means it's about receiving information. It's about receiving information. And what I'm going to ask that you do is take some time to get out to nature and connect, as silly as it may sound, connect with a tree. Place your hands on a tree, possibly your third eye on a tree, and ask the tree to provide you with some insight to what it is you need to know based on your hip discomfort. So, in addition to our card, the green energy is about the heart, the matters of the heart. I'm going to leave it there. So, all that being said, I'm going to take a quick commercial break. I'm going to come back and do a recap on the card, and then we're going to get into the juice of this conversation for the day. So let's take that commercial break. And we're back. For those of you just tuning in, I'm your host, Joanne Angel Barry Cologne, and you are currently watching Joanne's Healing Within. If you did miss the beginning of the show, no worries. I'm going to review the card. You'll probably have to come back and watch it from the beginning. We'll do that later. The card of the day is all about family. And we are in this 555 portal, so this makes a lot of sense. And when we think about Pluto, the planet of transformation, beginning its retrograde in Aquarius, this is a perfect time to review and recharge and reboot and even release any issues relating to family. That number 6 is very much associated with your physical body and setting up some time, organizing your schedule so you perhaps can spend more time with family. And family doesn't have to be blood related. It could be anyone you enjoy spending time with. So that green energy is about all the matters of the heart. So with all that being said, I want to dive into the conversation of the day. It's a pretty, I'm going to use the word intense because there's nothing intense about today's conversation. It's sort of light in regards to, again, having the right prescription makes the difference. Now, when I use the word prescription, I'm speaking on two parts here. Prescription in regards to your exercise plan, and also your prescription in regards to supplements. Now, I'm going to dive into the supplement part of it first because it's going to be short and easy, right to the point. And what I mean by that, there's a lot of information out there in reference to all different types of supplements that one should be taking. And the reality of it all is, my suggestion, my advice is, if you feel as though you need a supplement, my suggestion would be go consult with your physician first. Second thing would be, or this might even be the first thing, keep a food diary of what you're eating. Get familiar with all the different foods that you do eat and what minerals and vitamins are in those foods to then determine whether or not you really do need supplements. Because in the long of the short is if you are taking supplements and you don't really need them, and I'm going to say this with real and raw, you have really expensive urine because you're peeing those supplements right out. So you really want to be mindful of, do you really need supplements? Now the word supplement itself is supplementing because you're not getting it from your food. Now we want to keep in mind that your food needs to be natural and as organic as it can be. So if you are eating food that's coming from a package, then you want to make sure that when you're looking at those ingredients that you can read them. And for most part, the safest way of going about looking at your labels is if there's more than 4 ingredients on that label, there's a good probability you might want to put that back on the shelf because chances are you're not going to get the most nutrients from that product. So ideally, the most ingredients we want on a box is no more than 4, and you should be able to read the ingredients that you don't have to go and find your dictionary or go to Google and say, what's this mean? And chances are you're going to find that it means a whole lot of artificial something and a whole lot of sugar in the long run. So when we talk about the supplementation, understand that you may not necessarily need additional supplements. You can get it from your food. Most of our food has the essential vitamins, minerals we do need. You just have to make sure you're eating it. Now, going into the bigger picture of the prescription, what is the right prescription for you? Now, for those of you who may be new to my show, you may not know that I have been in the health, fitness, nutrition, and wellness industry for 40 plus years. Being in this industry for as long as I have been in this industry, and not only just being in this industry, I have been a group fitness instructor. I'm a former bodybuilder, natural competitive bodybuilder. I've done bench press competitions. I've worked out during pregnancy. I've worked out during different types of surgeries that I've had. So I have reshaped my body more times than I can count. And having the right prescription based on what I was doing then and where I am now makes a world of a difference. Because let's face facts, I'm no longer 20. As much as I would like to think that I'm 20 years old, my mindset might say, yes, you're 20, you feel great, you feel energized, you're ready to go. On the reality of it all is my internal body says no, you're not 20. And this is not about shifting the mindset of that old belief. This is more of a spiritual understanding that we want to make sure we're not creating resistance in our body based on the different types of activities we're doing. And when I use the word resistance, what I'm meaning is that if we are doing things that is challenging our body to the point where it's taxing our body, that may not be the right prescription for you. So there is theoretically guidelines to what you should be doing based on, let's say, if you are in your 20s, if you are in your 30s, and so on and so forth, based on how it's going to tax your physical body. So understanding the prescription plan for specifically my ladies over 40, and this can go for my ladies at 30 as well. Because again, it's whenever you're at that point of life where things start to change for you, where you go through a change of life. Now, for some reason or another, we pinpointed that women go through a change of life when they hit their 40s. I know women, I've worked with women who literally started going through change of life when they hit their early 30s. And that was brought on by different circumstances that literally changed their whole process of how their body was responding. So I'm not really sure who came up with the age factors that women go through change of life at mid 40s. Women can go through change of life as early as 30. And that is a mind shift, so to speak, in reference to how do you respond to how your body may be changing based on different circumstances that you're going through on an individual level, is going to define the prescription plan that's going to work better for you. Now, in theory, we would like to think that exercise, whether it's strength training exercise, or if you are going to go and do the your walk, whether it's the 10,000 steps or 15,000 steps, or you're going to do the yoga or the Pilates, whatever it is, the HIIT program, the CrossFit program, whatever it is, the idea of it is how taxing is that on your body. And when I use the word taxing, I'm just going to grab a little water here. When I use the word taxing, what I'm asking you is, are you experiencing extreme soreness after the activities that you've just completed? And if so, how long does that soreness sustain? Are you sore for 24 hours? Are you sore for 48 hours? Are you sore for 72 hours? Or are you sore for even longer? Because that's really the question you have to look at to evaluate, because that's what's going to determine what's the best prescription plan for you, the level of soreness that you're experiencing. Because a big part of our bodies being strong and healthy is making sure that we have a soundproof recovery process so our body can actually recover. Whereas if our body's not recovering based on whatever the activity we're doing, we are causing more harm than good to our physical body. And at some point, there is going to be a discussion about proper nutrition in order to help the recovery in this process. But I just want to lay out the foundation regarding what I'm speaking on regarding the prescription plan based on the strength training, the 10,000 to 15,000 steps a day, the Pilates or yoga, the stretching, even the meditation for that matter, the resting. All of this plays a role as your prescription plan and bringing it into part. So what I'm going to do in the next 2 minutes is I'm going to talk a little bit about the 10,000 to 15,000 steps one may be taking a day. And why? Is it beneficial? Now, I have done some research, and I've actually done a course that was given by, let me see if I can remember her name, Michelle Gillian, excuse me. Michael? I think it's Michael Gillian. I think that's how she says her name. Excuse me for mispronouncing it. In any case, I've taken a course with her where it was about cardio. Are we overdoing cardio, or is how much cardio is too much? Was the course actually speaking? How much cardio is too much? Now let's understand the concept of cardio. Cardiovascular fitness theoretically is for our heart, for heart health, and how much of cardio is actually beneficial, and how much of it is an overkill. Now, the newest studies coming away from the 10,000 and 15,000 steps a day, the newest studies are showing specifically for those in midlife or those in change of life, because again, we already discovered that midlife can start as early as 30. When you are in that change of life, the amount of cardio that you need in a day, theoretically, is about 10 minutes of cardio. 10 minutes of cardio. And that could be a 10 minutes of high intensity of cardio, 10 minutes of sprinting. It could be, or 4 minutes of sprinting for that matter. Something that's going to tax you, and then afterwards you get a rest period. You get a rest period where you're not going to go and dive into another activity, because now you want to recover from that cardio you've done. So if you are participating in walking every single day, 10,000 steps to 15,000 steps a day, because your goal is to obtain some heart health, then you may be able to decrease those steps down to 10 minutes a day and get the same benefits as if you were doing those 10,000 to 15,000 steps a day. Now, I'm going to leave you with this one little piece of information on where the information came from regarding 10,000 to 15,000 steps a day. Because in the reality of it all, and you can research it, it's definitely researchable. The reality of it all is based on research. There's actually no benefit to walking 10,000 to 15,000 steps a day that's going to actually benefit heart health. Where that actually came from is when I believe they call it the fit trackers, the watches came out. I believe this goes back to when heart rate monitors were a really big thing during cardiovascular fitness classes. I know I used to have my members check their pulse during their aerobic classes, make sure they were in a specific target heart rate zone. That's pretty much when the 10,000 to 15,000 steps came about, because it was a selling tool to get customers to buy the watch. So again, understanding the prescription in regards to for cardio health, 10 minutes a day is all you need, so it does not sabotage your results in reference to building muscle and strength. So I'm going to leave you with that. And then when I come back from the commercial break, we're going to talk a little bit more about that, and then we're going to go into something else. So we're going to take that quick commercial break. Did you know we are in the age of Aquarius? It's all about finding your tribe, making connections, collaborations, networking, being inspired, being empowered, and transforming. Hello, I'm Reverend Joanne Angel Barry Cologne, the founder of Holistic Fitness NY and Women Empowering Women. I'm a Reiki Master, Medical Astrologer, Master of Numerology, Holistic Integrated Teacher, and Card Creator. Women Empowering Women meets the second Monday of every month at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I would love to invite you in as my VIP guest. To redeem your VIP invitation, email healingwithin76@gmail.com or go to holisticfitnessny.com. I do promise that you will be inspired, empowered, and make connections. I look forward to seeing you on the second Monday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Hello and welcome back. I love that commercial. For those of you just popping in, I'm your host, Joanne Angel Barry Cologne, and you are currently watching Joanne's Healing Within. And like I said, if you're just popping in, though, you can always come back and watch from the replay from the very beginning on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch TV. You can listen on Audible, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many other platforms for that matter. Let's dive in. I left you off with the conversation on cardiovascular fitness. Hold that thought for a second. So anyway, cardiovascular fitness, as I mentioned, to make sure we're not sabotaging the results that you're looking to accomplish. Now again, understanding this is for women who are going into their next cycle of life, whether we want to call it midlife or starting as early as 30, because we realize that women do go through changes even earlier than 40 years old based on different circumstances that have happened to them. And with that being said, we want to make sure we are building a strong foundation where we are protecting our bones, so we have bone health, and we're getting stronger so we gain muscle. And in order to gain the muscle, we also want to make sure that we're not going to sabotage all the work we're going to try to do to gain the muscle by overindulging in cardiovascular fitness. So I like to always suggest to my clients, rather than having to go for a 10-minute walk or getting onto your treadmill or on a bike or whatever have you, is put on some music. Find a song that you like, maybe 2 or 3 songs, because the average songs these days are about 3 minutes long. So if that's the case, you can find 2 songs and dance it out for about 10 minutes. And it's a really great way to get your heart pumping, and it's a fun way as well. Especially when we talk about May, the month of May, it is all about the May dancing and having more fun while doing so. So that's the first part of your prescription, is making sure you're not overdoing your cardiovascular fitness. Now you may be asking yourself, well, what if I am overweight and or have a heart condition or even have insulin sensitivity? Do I not need cardio? Again, that's that 10 minutes to build yourself up. Now, of course, if you feel the need, because again, my process here is creating a prescription plan that best fits what you are in need of. If you want to go for that longer walk once or twice a week, by all means, get out into nature and do so. The idea is to make sure you're not overindulging in that one activity that's going to end up sabotaging the main prescription to what's going to help you get stronger and healthier, which brings us into the strength training. Now, before I dive into the strength training, I really want to talk more about the supplementation, which is the cardio, the Pilates and yoga, and the HIIT programs, the Zumba classes. All of that is supplements. And what do I mean by supplementation? It's a part of the ingredient, but it's not the primary. So your primary portion of your prescription will be your prescription. So you have to visualize this and made a graph of it. Half of the, well, even more than half of your graph should have strength training. And then the other little pies of it would be divided between your cardio, your Pilates and your yoga, your stretches, your meditation, your rest, and whatever other fun things you want to put in there. If you want to get out and do a bike ride, that's all fine and good. Those are your little supplementations. They're not your primary source of where your workouts are coming from. The thing that makes me giggle when I speak to women, specifically women, when they talk to me about their workout plan, their regimen, most women are talking to me about their yoga and Pilates routine or their walk program. And very few are speaking to me about their strength training program. And I often ask why. Why are we not strength training? Why are we avoiding the one thing that's actually going to improve everything for you? Why? I mean, if you can spend your time going for that 10,000 steps a day or 15,000 steps a day, what's that, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, for some maybe an hour? If you can spend your time doing that, I'd rather you spend your time doing your strength training. Because that's where you're actually going to get the benefits of improving your bones, because you're actually restructuring your entire system by strength training. Now, what I want to talk to you a little bit about when we talk about strength training, the word I like to use is POST, P-O-S-T, Progressive Overload Strength Training. And what Progressive Overload Strength Training really means is that every so many weeks, there's a progression. We all have to start somewhere when it comes to weight. So maybe you're a beginner and you're going to start with those 3 pounds, or you're going to start with 5 pounds. Over time, or maybe you'll even start with your body weight. Over time, approximately 2 to 3 weeks later, there's going to be a progression, whether it's a matter of doing more repetition or increasing the weight. Now, I myself I'm more of a fan of increasing the weight versus increasing the reps. Why is that? because there's a good probability that if you are using 3 or 5 pounds, that you're probably going to be able to do a range of repetitions between 12 to 15 repetition, and that's causing more of a fatigue to the muscle versus getting the muscle to actually get challenged. So we really want to understand the concept of the prescription to that in regards to what is the best repetition range for you when doing that particular exercise. And it's not about the higher the reps, the more you're going to burn. Because again, let's face the reality of it all. We don't want to burn anything. We want to build. And the only way we're really going to build is by challenging the muscle. Grabbing a weight that you can literally keep the repetition range under, starting off with a minimum, maybe going max 10 repetition, the lowest amount 6 or 4 repetition, and working with it that way, we're over time progressing 2 to 3 weeks doing that same exercise. 2 to 3 weeks later, you have perfected the form, because form is key. And once you know that you perfected the form and that you can do more repetition, that would be the time to increase the weight. This right here, that's going to challenge the muscle. It's also going to theoretically break what we call the little fiber tissues, break them down to help you build new muscle tissue with the recovery, with the right recovery. Now, there's so much information out there in regards to how often should you work a body part. Should you work a body part once a week? Should you work a body part twice a week? Should you work a body part 3 times a week? I mean, I've just recently heard someone speak about that you should be working a body part every single day. And I'm going to say right off the bat, no, that is not advisable. Why is working a body part every single day not advisable? Because that body part needs recovery. That body part needs recovery. Even if you're only doing one exercise for that body part, you still need recovery. You may not need as much recovery as you would if you were doing 2 or more exercises for that body part, but that body part does need recovery. At least a full day of recovery, and maybe even 2 days, depending on the intensity of that one exercise that you're doing. You may be lifting, doing what's called a 1 rep max, and doing that 3 or 4 times, where a 1 rep max means you're hitting a weight that's heavy, and then you're taking that weight up again that's heavy, and then you're taking it up again that's heavy. And you're doing each one of those steps 1 time. And if that is the case, your muscles need recovery before you can hit that muscle again. And that rule of thumb, when we talk about our body parts, when we talk about our biceps, you utilize your biceps when you're working other body parts. So when you're working your back muscles, you're working your biceps. Especially if you're doing, say, a reverse grip, your biceps play a role. If you're working your chest muscles, whether it be a push-up or an incline press, you're working your triceps. So make note and understand that you may be hitting a particular body part indirectly without even knowing you're hitting it. So that's why recovery is so important. Now you may be asking yourself, well, what about our shoulders? Indirectly, we hit our shoulders every time we work back, and we hit our anterior delts every time we work chest. So again, another body part you have to be cautious on. And how often you need to really work it. That's why understanding your prescription plan is so really important in order to get the results you're looking to get, so you can actually get the results. Otherwise, what ends up happening is that if you are not working with the right prescription plan and you are not recovering, you'll find yourself not getting the results you're looking for. You'll find yourself being more sore than wanting to be, and that's due to lack of recovery. And sometimes you need a 2-day recovery. And now, what do we do in the recovery? Does the recovery mean that you're basically not doing anything the next day? Absolutely not. A recovery just means that you're taking time off from the body part you did the other day, and you're focusing on a different body part. So, for example, my program, Monday, I work back and triceps. So, because I work back and triceps, on Tuesday, I work my legs. So, my back and triceps get to recover from its workout. Tuesday, I work lower body. And then Wednesday, I go and I work shoulders and biceps. And then Thursday, chest and triceps. And then there's a day off, 2 days off, and then I continue it again. Ideally, the recovery should be, for most people, we should be taking about 2 days off in our workout. Now, whether those 2 days are back to back, or you want to take one day off here and another day off another day, that's up to you on your routine. I myself like a 2 day break so my body recovers. Now, does that mean you're sitting on the couch doing absolutely nothing on your days off? Probably not. That's where your functional activities come in. Get out into nature and take a walk. Do your functional. Now, of course, if you are sore, where your muscles are sore, then you may need some downtime so your body can recover. So it really is important to pay attention to how your body's responding to the workout you are doing. Otherwise, if you're not paying attention, you could, again, the word sabotaging your results by overdoing if you're not paying attention to how your body's responding to the workout you did and how your body's responding to the recovery you should be receiving. Now, how do you understand, how do you pay attention to this is by making sure you're logging what you're doing. Writing down the exercises you're doing, writing down the weight you're doing, writing down the repetition you're doing, and you can even take it one step further and make sure you're logging down your rest periods. How long are you resting for each set? Because that's going to play a difference too. And you want to make sure your rest periods are pretty much the same for each set. So whatever exercise you've done, if you rested for 1 minute for the first set, you really want to keep that rest period the same unless there was an increase in the weight, and then you may find yourself needing a little longer rest period. So again, a lot of it is really that mind-body connection and understanding how to go about this prescription plan. What I like to tap in on is the nutritional aspects of this. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back and I'm going to talk about the nutritional aspects of this as well, because it plays a huge role to your recovery, also to your progression. Because if your nutrition is not on track, then the recovery is going to be longer and your results may not be showing up as well as you may want them to be, because nutrition plays a big part. It's almost like 90% of your progress in regards to what it is you are eating. So let's take that quick commercial break and let's come back and have a conversation about nutrition. Hello and welcome back. If you are just tuning in, I'm your host, Joanne Andrew Barry Cologne. You are currently watching Joanne's Healing Within, and I love that commercial that you showed. The music is just so much fun to dance. You almost caught me dancing. Anyway, Like I said, if you are just tuning in now and you've missed a big portion of our show, you definitely can always come back later and watch from the very beginning on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch TV. You can also listen on Audible, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many other podcasts for that matter. Today's show is all about having the right prescription makes all the difference. And that's what it's all about. The prescription regarding your exercise prescription. I spoke a little bit about supplementations in regards to do you really need to supplement? And that's something that you definitely will need to journal to define whether or not you do need to supplement if you're not getting all of your nutrients and vitamins from your food. And then from that point, consulting with a physician that can better guide you in reference to how to go about supplementing if you need to supplement. Otherwise, as I said earlier, you're going to have the most expensive urine because you're going to pee out what your body doesn't need. And in addition, this segment's about the nutritional aspects of things because nutrition is pretty much 90% of your results. If your nutrition is not on track and you are strength training with progressive overload and you are literally logging everything and you know you're progressing every week or every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're increasing your weight, you have really good form. And when I use the word increasing weight, meaning your workout weight, not your body weight, you have really good form. You know everything is on target, yet you're looking in the mirror and you're not seeing the results. You're not seeing I like to use the word striations. What striations? The cuts. You're not seeing the cuts. You're not seeing maybe the waistline go in. You're not seeing. Okay. The other thing we want to pay attention to is not always going to be about the seeing aspects of it as much as it's about how do you feel? Are you feeling stronger? When you put on your clothes, and nowadays we really even can't use our clothes as our gauge because the way our clothes are made, there's so much spandex in our clothes that we can actually be fitting into a size 2 based on the spandex and all the other ingredients to our clothing, that in reality we might actually be a size 4 or 6, but because the clothes is made the way it is, we're able to get into smaller sizes. So we really can't gauge on our clothes. If you have a really good pair of jeans that are going back to, let's say, maybe the last 10 years, use that as your gauge because a really good pair of jeans are going to really tell you whether or not your body is transforming. Now, the one thing I definitely want to put out there before I really dive into the nutritional aspects of things is helping you to understand my approach. I go totally against what most trainers and nutritionists are suggesting. My approach is to release emotional weight without dieting. My approach is to ask you not to focus on what the scale number says, no matter what the scale number is, even though, again, in this day and age, we are so focused on that number that we get overwhelmed by that number. We think, oh my God, I should be a different number. Now, in the reality of things, when we think about the number on the scale, and many practitioners use this terminology such as work towards your goal weight. And the reality of it all is, who determines what your goal weight is in the reality of all? Because again, what your goal weight is now, if you have determined what your goal weight is and you're thinking that, oh, I would love to be that 120 pounds that I was when I was in my 20s. And I've said this before, maybe not on this show, but maybe in my other lives, if you want to be that 120 pounds that you were when you were 20, you're going to have to take on the lifestyle you had when you were 20. So chances are you're not going to be 120 pounds because chances are you're not going to go back and take on the lifestyle you had. Only because, again, whatever age you are right now, you have different responsibilities. Your body plays a different role from when you were 20. So we have to knock that theory, that thought process out of our mind right off the bat in regards to working on releasing the subconscious beliefs and the philosophies that we've been programmed to believe. So going back to the understanding that the concept here is to release emotional weight without dieting. come away with the idea of you have a specific goal weight you want to accomplish. Rather than focusing on a goal weight the scale should be, focus on how healthy can you become and how strong can you be. Because strong and healthy is a lot better than being skinny. And notice how you say skinny and healthy. Because there's really no such thing as being skinny and healthy. Because if you're skinny and not maintaining muscle, there's a good probability you're not healthy. Because muscle, your skeletal muscle, defines your health. Your skeletal muscle is going to define the protection that your bones have because of the skeletal muscle. So this is one of the reasons why nutrition plays a role in regards to bringing in those calories, taking in those calories, because your calories are your actual essential ingredient to fueling your body. Now, again, going against what most practitioners are talking about in regards to being on a calorie deficit. If you're on a calorie deficit, it means you're under eating what your body may actually need. Now, based on research that I've done and working with many clients over the last 40 years of my experience, most women undereat their calories to start off with. When a client comes to me for the first time, there's usually a 500 calorie depletion that they're starting at, which means they are 500 calories under what they really should be eating. Most women are consuming about 1,200 to just about 1,500 calories a day. And in the reality of things, that's just to sustain your sedentary lifestyle. So if you sat on the couch all day and did absolutely nothing, you would need to consume about anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500 calories. Now let's take in consideration you're not sitting on your couch all day. You're working out. You're going for that walk. You're meditating. You're even working. You're sitting in front of your computer and working because brain work takes calories. So we definitely need to up the amount of calories we need to consume in our day in order to fill up the muscle. So if you are someone who is strength training and you're consistently strength training, however, you're not noticing a difference, you literally touch your arms and you're finding out like, why is it still mushy? And you know you're strength training. You know you're curling those 20, 25 pounds or 30 pounds. And why you're not hard. And that's because you're not giving yourself enough nutrients to fill the muscle. And that's really the bottom line to it. That is the biggest reason why calories are so important. Breaking up those calories between your proteins, your carbohydrates, and your healthy fat is essential to helping you maintain and fill up your muscle. So if you are, again, consistently working with your prescription plan and you're not noticing that your muscles are getting harder, when you touch your arm or you touch your leg or you touch your sides and you feel like it's mushy, that's an indication that you need to change up your calorie intake. You may need to increase your calories. Now again, I'm not going to tell you or suggest to you to go increase your calories by 500 calories overnight. No, progression. Progression. First, you're definitely going to need to track your calories in order to find out how many calories you're eating to begin with. It's like maintaining your checkbook for those of us who still do that. So if you're not eating enough calories where you are right now, you're going to increase your calories by at least 100 calories in your day, and do that for the same cycling period you would do if you're increasing your weight for 3 weeks. Allow your body to adjust to the fact that you're increasing your calories, and do that for 3 weeks. Now, the formula that I'm going to suggest when we talk about your proteins, your carbs, and your fat, because they're all essential, you really want to be able to get 1 gram of protein per pound. So whatever your weight is, remember, we're not talking about a goal weight, whatever your weight is right now. So if you're 200 pounds, you need 200 grams of protein. And you may be asking yourself, that's a lot of protein. How am I going to take in 200 grams of protein? Divide it up into your meals because you should be eating frequently throughout your day in order to keep your body fueled throughout your day. So however many meals you need to get those 200 grams of protein into your day. And then in addition, just make sure you're having about a serving to a serving and a half of some sort of carbohydrate with the protein and a portion of healthy fat in every meal. And this way here, you know you are going to get what you need. The protein is essential to helping you to recover and also helping you to build the muscles. The carbohydrates are essential to give you the energy you need. And the fat is essential for your body to burn fat. Because if you're not eating enough fat, your body's not going to burn fat. Again, this is going totally against what we've been taught. We've been taught. A big portion of this process, and as I look at the time, we're going to be reaming it in, coming to a conclusion for today, and understanding that your intuition plays a huge part to all of this. Start tapping into your intuition to better understand what is the best prescription plan for you. Now, I don't expect you to do this on your own. Definitely not. What I do expect is for you to take some time to reach out to me and sit with me. Let's have a self-discovery session and discuss what is the best prescription plan for you. Now, there's no flyer on me, so you can just jot down my email, which is healingwithin76@gmail.com, and reach out. You can also just reach out to me through Facebook if you're watching this from Facebook. And if you're watching it on YouTube, again, healingwithin76@gmail.com. So with that being said, I want to conclude with all that's going on with promos for this week because we don't have another commercial break to take. We're just going to sort of clean it up and go right into the promos for this week. We have some fun ones going on. We're going to start off with the promo where the magazine, Holistic Healing Magazine, give it applause, is coming out this Wednesday. Now, it may actually come out a little early. It may come out tomorrow. It will. So yes, really super excited. I'm loving our cover girl on the magazine. And keep your eyes out for that link where you can purchase the magazine. I'm very excited about. Our next one is our Women Empowering Women's Group. Our meeting takes place next Monday at 8 p.m. There's the flyer. If you're interested in attending, just go ahead and reach out to me. I'll get you all signed up for that. And then we have the Hoarding Solution with Miss Tammy Moses. All about all that she does. If you want to reach out to her, if you need a little help in reference to reorganizing your space, this is the perfect time to do just that. Declutter, declutter, declutter. Reach out to her. And last but not least, get featured. Get featured. What does get featured mean? If you are someone that you're an expert and you would like to write, you can become an elite contributor and write for us every month. If you want to be our next face on the cover, I am now taking applications for that for 2026. So definitely reach out. And if you are an author, I feature 3 authors every month. So there's so many choices that you can choose from. And by the way, if you have a business and you want to run an ad, reach out to me for that as well. With all that being said, the email again is healingwithin76@gmail.com. It was a pleasure being here. I hope you got a lot from the conversation for today based on the best prescription plan for you, because having the right prescription makes the difference and will definitely help you get stronger and healthier. And remember, it's all about restructuring your foundation, which is your physical body. And this is a perfect time to transform your physical body and let go of what you no longer need. Remember, releasing the emotional issues without dieting. All the emotional weight will just shed off once you work through all of the weight that the weight is associated to. I will see you all again next month. Bye-bye for now.